Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All coming to you from this lovely hotel room in lovely Austin. Lovely Austin is lovely. The hotel room is a hotel room. So anyway, and forgive the traffic noises because it's right near the airport and right near a highway. So plenty of trucks and things going by. Anyway, today what I want to talk about is something that I thought about driving to the airport in Atlanta this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then going and driving around at Austin when I got here because I rented a Tesla Model 3, which is awesome, from Hertz, and I'm driving it around. The difference between the two cars, of course, well, one's a Model Y, the other one's a Model 3, but that's not very substantial in terms of difference. But the big difference between the two of them is that the Tesla Model Y that we own has full self-driving beta 11.3.6. I think that's the right one. I keep forgetting what numbers they all are. Whereas the Model 3 rented from Hertz doesn't have full self-driving beta. And it makes a really big difference, especially in a town where, I'm not that familiar with it. I've been to Austin a few times, but basically I just, say where I want to go and it gives me directions, but then I have to actually follow them. But, every place is its own interesting thing. But Austin and Texas in general has lots of really weird things where you have to be in a very specific lane to be able to switch between two highways or to do this like U-turn thing that goes like around the inside loop. It's all actually rather efficient, but it is really different and it's not something I'm used to. So it's challenging for me to navigate all of that sort of stuff. And what I thought about was, of course, I'm not the first person to have thought about this, and I'm also not the first person to have suggested it, I don't think, but it would be great for customers if we are utilizing a Tesla rental vehicle through a fleet. Now, I think if you do something like Turo or something like that, you get it sort of automatically because whatever the person has, you get. But if you're renting through a fleet, like Hertz is the biggest one, I don't know if anybody else has really got a gigantic fleet of Teslas at this point. But anyway, if you're renting through Hertz, I'll just use them as the example, it would be really nice if you could then utilize your full self-driving license as a customer who's paying for it already or has paid for it on a rental. So I understand that, Tesla doesn't transfer it from one car to another. And I think I wish that it was actually licensed more to the human being and less to the car, but that's a whole different matter. But at the very least, when I go someplace, I don't really have the choice. I can't turn on full self-driving for 3 or 4 days or something like that, but it'd be really useful, especially in a town that I don't know that well, because that's exactly the place when you really, really want to have something like full self-driving where the car can actually drive itself and can figure out where it's going. So that would be really, really nice for us consumers. The bigger point, though, is this. I think that Tesla is leaving a ton of money on the table by not just by default enabling full self-driving beta, not enabling it, but at least giving you the option with Hertz. So hear me out about this. This is something I was talking with Gail Alford today, and she drove me around. It was awesome. We did a little podcast on her, so check her out on Twitter, and you'll hopefully within a day or two see the podcast of us, driving around Austin and talking about this. But one topic that came up was the fact that so few people really understand how amazing full self-driving beta is, including, I think, a lot of people who own Teslas already. And I know Elon has talked about taking steps to correct for this problem by, he said, after things get smoother, so maybe 11.4.x, maybe version 12, something like that. But it sounds like he wants to do this relatively soon, that they're going to give all Tesla owners a month free trial, essentially. So you'll get full self-driving beta turned on if you, of course, click the option and say you want to do that, but that everybody will get it for a month. And then you can check it out yourself and you can see just how amazing it is. But here's the thing. People who don't own a Tesla, a lot of people, Gail was telling me about this, she's like, people are like, oh yeah, I've got my, GM lane keeping assist thing and it's just as good as Tesla's full self-driving beta. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not even close. It's not in the same category. Or people will say, oh, I drove in a Waymo, and they'll say like, oh yeah, it does that same stuff. And it's like, no, it's not in the same category. So the problem is that there's just a lack of knowledge out there, and people rent vehicles. And in fact, people often who have more money, more means, rent vehicles more frequently. And people who have more means will, go to the trouble of renting an EV. But how amazing would it be if you had full self-driving enabled in these cars, or optionally enabled, right? Again, it would pop up something. Maybe you could even have like a video or something that it played and it said, this is the explanation. You are completely responsible for this car, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff that we beta testers already know. And to make sure that you don't do anything stupid so that the people don't get on there and click it and then go get in the back seat or something dumb like that, right? So anyway, it's some sort of deal in the front end to make sure that people do this correctly. But the amazing part about this would be the educational potential for Tesla. So Hertz would have, of course, yet another gold star, because that's their gold rewards thing. Anyway, but they would have another leg up on the competition, basically, by going like, look, we have Teslas that have full self-driving beta optionally enabled. You can get a hold of this right now. And then Tesla has the not only selling more vehicles, they could sell Tesla Model 3s, Model Ys, Model S, Model X, whatever, from people renting them and going like, wow, I really like this vehicle. But they could potentially have a much higher take rate of full self-driving beta if people utilize the vehicles while they're renting them and turn on full self-driving and go, wow, if they experience the magic like those of us who drive it definitely feel every day. And I want to make sure that people understand that I think there's a signal to noise ratio thing here. I was thinking about this morning, just as a little side tangent. Got up at 3:30, left the house at 4 o'clock in the bloody morning to drive almost 70 miles to the Atlanta airport from where I live. Dark back roads, 316, this highway that's 65 miles an hour with just traffic lights and entrances and exits on the highway. Just a super, super dangerous road. And then I got onto I-85, and drove, 75 miles an hour, whatever it is, down through the middle of Atlanta, through all the crazy traffic and all the windy stuff that goes through to the airport, into the airport, navigated around all the airport stuff to get to the parking deck. And aside from a few speed interventions, like rolling up and down the speed a little bit to adjust things more comfortably for me or something, I didn't have to intervene with the vehicle until I got to the parking deck, and then I had to make a left turn to turn into the parking deck because the nav data sort of ended there. But the car drove me there, and I was thinking 3 to 4 years ago, somewhere around the late 20-teens, like say 2019 or something, that the idea of doing a drive like that without having to intervene with the car, with the car driving itself, that was science fiction. That's something that people just don't know. They don't understand that. And I tweeted out that thing about this morning. I said, don't lose the signal for the noise. There's a lot of bumps up and down. There's a lot of little annoyances. There's a lot of places that I go, the same stupid thing happens. It's the same wrong speed limit. It does the same dumb thing. There's those little bits of noise going on, but the trend line is very clearly up, and it's very aggressively up over the years. And it's just amazing what Tesla's full self-driving team has done. So first of all, congratulations to the full self-driving team, because it's just amazing. But second of all, more people need to find out about it. And how do you let people find out about this? Let them rent the vehicle. Hell, there could be a lot of people who might just rent a Tesla from Hertz just to test out the full self-driving. They might, let's say you just, you live in Salt Lake City or something, and you want to find out whether the Tesla and the full self-driving is everything it's cracked up to be. Even though you live there, you might just go to the local Hertz, and you might go ahead and rent the vehicle from them right there and drive it around for a few days and test it out. So Hertz is going to get more rentals for sure if they do this. Number two, Tesla is going to for sure get more people interested in their vehicles. Number three, they're gonna, I think the odds are super, super high that they will get a higher take rate of people wanting to get full self-driving beta when they purchase their vehicle, because they will have tested it out. It's one of those things, it's $200 a month or $15,000 when you buy the car. Either way, it's one of those things where a lot of people are probably like, you don't really need it, don't know. And if you let people find out, it's one of those things like you don't know what you're missing until you try it once, and then you're like, damn, I really want that. So I think that they're going to get that sort of response if they allow people to try this out. Now, negatives, I could see Hertz saying like, ooh, gosh, we don't want people who really don't know what they're doing. They don't even hardly know how to drive a Tesla at this point, right? They're new to this whole EV thing, and we're worried about them driving the full self-driving beta, which is why I said maybe there's some mandatory video they have to watch, and I know you can't necessarily force people. They can run it in the background and not actually watch it. But something like that, just a quick thing just to educate people about the fact that they're still responsible and what their responsibilities are. And then, of course, you don't enable it by default. It's only enabled if you click the option and you choose yes, all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think that that would probably take care of Hertz's potential issues with it. Tesla would probably say like, well, we're giving away, you know, what is that whole thing like? Why would you buy the cow if you get the milk for free or something? This sounds like something my mother-in-law would say to me, or my wife actually. But anyway, it's the sort of thing where you could say like, oh yeah, they're giving away this thing. Why would they do that? But what they could do is they could actually call it a business expense, right? They could count this off in terms of expenses, and they could actually kind of reduce some tax liability and things like that by saying that what we're doing is we're providing at $200 a month or $15,000 per vehicle sold or something. We're throwing this in for free, which means that they are, you know, reducing their profits, which is actually beneficial to them as they reducing their profits, right? They're not, they're giving it away at software, so it doesn't really matter, but they can get some sort of tax protection out of this entire thing. So they could get some tax protection out of it, and they could allow people to find out about full self-driving beta. I know a lot of people that I've talked to who just live far away from me who are like, I really want to try full self-driving beta. How do I do it? And I'm like, well, you got to come visit me or something, or another friend or whatever. How much better would it be if they could just rent a car and try it themselves? That would be just amazing. It sounds like, to me at least, that this is kind of a no-brainer. This is something that Tesla really needs to do as their vehicles go wider. They're getting to people who are not first adopters, not early adopters. They don't just know all this stuff automatically. They haven't gone out and sought friends out to drive these vehicles. You need to go after this sort of mainstream part of the S-curve between the 20% and the 80% of people who are excited about the technology but are not willing to invest months and lots of money to go someplace and try it out and everything. You need to find a way of letting those people try it, because when you do, you know, Gail, you know, it's so cute. She's like, this is magic. It's amazing. And it really is. You know, I like to experience that. I get a little blasé about it, driving it around all the time myself, but it's really cool to experience that joy and that magic about it. And how much more would all of these people who have never had a chance to try it and don't even understand how much better it is, how much more amazing would it be when they try it out and they're like, oh yeah, my next car is going to be a Tesla and I'm going to get full self-driving. This just seems like something that's a win for Hertz. That's going to get them more car rentals. People will be more excited about it, and that's a great thing on their part. And then for Tesla, it's just a huge win, because this is the kind of thing where Tesla not only will sell more EVs, more of their Tesla vehicles, by doing this, because people will be more excited about it, but they will also have a higher take rate for a very expensive piece of software that has very high margins. And that seems like a pretty nice win-win-win, because the drivers get to win by driving it, Hertz gets to win by, you know, having another like elevation above the competition, and Tesla gets to win because they get to call the software that they're giving away a business expense, and at the same time they can hopefully get a higher take rate, a real take rate of $15,000 a pop or $200 a month from people who purchase their Teslas and are really excited about full self-driving from having the opportunity to drive it in a rental car. And you know what's even better? At the beginning of this video, I was talking about how it's annoying that I don't get full self-driving transferred to my rental car when I go someplace and rent from Hertz. But if they just had that as a built-in option, I would be able to have it, and I wouldn't even have to worry about all of the other shenanigans about, you know, transferring with a person and all of that kind of stuff. So it would work out great for us consumers as well, because if we rent from a place like Hertz, we would get that just sort of de facto, and that would make our lives much, much better. All right, so that's my piece about this. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments, and please do like and subscribe while you're there. And in the meantime, tomorrow, guess what? I will see you from Tesla Shareholder Day. Bye-bye.